Welcome to OnPoint, the only real and unscripted talk show that educates, motivates, and inspires, featuring interesting topics on health, finances, real estate, education, technology, politics, legal issues, and more. And now, here are your hosts, David and Delroy.
Hi, welcome to OnPoint The Talk Show. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, David Horton, and you are?
And I'm Delroy Souden.
We had basically asked you to write in and tell us what you wanted to discuss for upcoming shows, and the plurality of you said that you wanted to discuss finance and money. As you know, Delroy and I do not discuss the topics in pre-production. We basically sit down, we don't tell each other what we have on our minds, and we just go for it. However, this morning I explained to him a family situation that I was having, and he said to me, if you feel comfortable, why don't you tell the story on air? And I thought about it and I said, this will probably help somebody. So with the family, I will share with you what occurred. We all have in our families someone who may be addicted to drugs or alcoholism or something of that nature, or maybe even suicide. And, it doesn't get discussed. Well, we have to discuss it. What happened in my situation is I met a wonderful family through friends in another state. And what we would all do is, me and my group of friends, we would all drive to this new person's house, and we would have dinner. We would stay for a 3-day weekend, have a great time. We'd have dinner. We'd laugh. We didn't even have to leave the house because we just enjoyed each other's company so much. We traveled together. We vacationed together. And this has been going on for years. But remember, I was introduced to this family by a dear friend of mine. And so one year I had gone to Atlanta and I was driving back up the East Coast. And I said, let me stop in and maybe stay with them for a day or two and just have some fun. And so I called them. They said, hey, drop on over. And so I did. And the wife was going to be out of town for a couple of days. And so it gave me a chance to spend some quality time with the husband. And the next morning, I got up to go to the gym, and I knew he was supposed to go to work, so I figured I'd see him when he got home from work. And when I came home from the gym about an hour and a half later, he had not gone to work. And I heard him on a conference call, and his speech was slurred, and that was very off-putting for me. And I realized that he was drunk. And this is somebody that has a high-powered job, and he was on a conference call, which I'm sure if I could pick that up, and I was downstairs hearing him from downstairs. And as I came up the stairs, it got worse, and I was mortified. I didn't feel it was my place to say anything to him. So I called up my dear friend who had introduced me to him, and I told him what the circumstances were. And he said, okay, well, I'll deal with it. He forgot about it. Just so happened, maybe 3 or 4 months later, he was down in that area and stayed at the house and saw the same thing and was mortified and called me back and said, oh my God. I said, yeah. I said, what are we going to do? And so we discussed it amongst all of our friends. And we decided that we needed to do an intervention. And I'm going to pause and I'm going to say to everyone who's watching this that imagine some people don't have one good friend. But when you can say you've got 10 friends who are literally willing to do an intervention on your behalf, stop their life and try to do something to help you, you're a very fortunate person.
Yes, you are.
Because not everybody can say they've got one good friend, let alone 2 or
10,
3, but
yeah,
10.
10, yeah.
So to fast forward, what basically occurred was a date was decided on a 3-day weekend to plan for him and his wife to come up. And we knew that we had to separate the two because clearly the wife knows what's going on and is to some degree enabling this to occur. And so it then begged the question, is the wife being abused because she's clearly helping him with this alcoholism? She knows what's going on and she's pouring drinks for him. And so is it because
she's pouring drinks
yes.
for him?
And so is it because she's being abused? And how we found that out was we saw her sneaking alcohol into his orange juice in the morning.
That's not good.
No. But again, it begged the question, was it because he's beating her up? Is it because something's going on that who knows? We don't know. Could
it be that he's making her do it?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
That's what we but we don't know.
We don't know, yeah.
And so or any number of variables could it be, but we didn't know.
Right.
And so it begged the question, okay, clearly if she's enabling him, we've got to separate her away from him. How do we do this? So imagine 10 people who love both of you, because you both may need help. She may need help as an enabler. He needs help as an alcoholic. So how do we
quite possibly an abuser.
So what do we do? So we came up with, what we decided to do was she likes to go shopping. One of the people in the group, that's all they ever do is shop. So what's the best thing to do? Send them off on a shopping spree. And so that's basically what we did. We set them up on a shopping spree, the wife and a good friend of ours. And
so
the good friend knew. The good friend knew what was going on, but he said, yeah, I'll take her shopping. And another friend went. And so it was a Saturday late morning that they were set up to go shopping. I, on the other hand, the weekend that they chose to go away, I had already prepaid for airline tickets, hotel, and an event in Atlanta. So I informed them that unfortunately I would not be able to be with them to assist them. As the date got closer and the preparations were being made, they actually made preparations because of the type of job that he had to get him into a facility that would assist him. His pay would not be interrupted. They went the whole 9. Realizing what my friends were doing, I said, there's no way I can leave them alone. Even though I've paid for this event for myself, I've got to participate. So 24 hours before I was to leave, I didn't go. But I didn't tell them. Instead, I showed up that Saturday morning to the surprise of everyone. And they're like, you're going to help us do this? I said, absolutely. There was no way in the world I can let you do it by yourself. Imagine how lucky you are as a human being to have that many people that love you to set this up for you. So what occurred was the wife went off shopping, but was calling every 15 minutes because she just felt uncomfortable, knew something was going on, and she just didn't feel comfortable. Couldn't even enjoy her shopping, literally. And so we finally decided not to take her phone call. What did she do? She called every single one of us. So we had to turn off our phones. And we confronted him. And basically we let him know how much we cared about him. And, we want to give him help. And he started to cry, as we all did. And we were so hopeful that maybe he was going to concede. And when we shared with him everything that was set up and that he was packed and ready to go, because all we had to do was take his clothes and take him to the facility.
Right.
He said no, that he was going to do it on his own. There was nothing that we could do. And as hurtful as it was, and believe me when I tell you, for me, I was devastated because what he doesn't know to this day is there were extended people that were also involved and gave their blessing. And I don't want to say anything on air about that, but everybody knew. Everybody knew. And so what then occurred was he and the wife totally shut down communication with us. And this has now been, I would say, over a year. We would vacation every year together as a family, as a group, 10 of us.
Mm-hmm.
And that has since stopped, which has begged the question from the family, the Weiss family. We would see them every year. And they, of course, we're in contact with them on Facebook. And it begged the question, what's going on? And so, needless to say, the husband and wife, Lord only knows what they told their family members to make them want. I'm very close with.
So do the family members also stop communicating, or?
They did initially, and what the text that I got was, you need to apologize to him for what you guys did.
Oh, really?
Right. And so it was
really?
like, what the hell?
Apologize for what? For helping
What the
him?
hell did you tell? Did they tell, the family members? And so what happened, and I haven't shared this with you because this just happened, the sister of the wife reached out to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, let's talk. This was yesterday. So we had a conversation this morning. And this is how the conversation went. I said, how is he? And so she said, well, I know you guys haven't been talking. And she was very general. And I said, look, you heard one side of the story. You know there's three sides to every story, and the truth is somewhere in the middle. And so she said, yeah. And so I told her the whole story. And she then said to me, let me share something with you. She said, I know you are absolutely right. He is an alcoholic. To this day, he's still doing the same thing. So she now knows. And then she said she had a big argument because of it. And so I said, okay, so my hands are washed.
But you know what? I just have to say this is...
it hurt me to my heart, to be honest
I'm
with you.
sure, because this is
Devastated.
your friend.
Yeah.
This is a friend, and a dear friend, not just any friend. People have to want good for themselves and want to be helped. Though you guys meant good, there's not much that you really could do unless he really wanted that help.
Exactly.
At least he knows that you guys cared about him so much to the point where you all gathered there to intervene. But at the end of the day, if he doesn't want to help himself, then there's nothing you can do.
And you know what's the
than
worst
to
part?
pray for him.
The worst part for me is, I can't stress this enough, how many people in the world wish they had one good friend like that, and you have 10 plus that you don't even know are rooting for you. And then worse than that, Facebook can be a wonderful thing. It can be a hurtful thing.
Yes, it can.
Because what I now see, and we would normally be vacationing right now in Mardi Gras, okay, with his ex-wife's family, and we are not there. And then you see a caption with him and his wife which says, me and my best friends out doing A, B, C, or D. And we look at these people that he's calling his best friends. They're new friends. They're not somebody that he's been friends with for years.
Oh, my God.
And so they don't know his addiction. And what he's doing is he's basically cocooning himself with a new set of people that it'll only be a matter of time.
And probably
before they're
don't
the same
care
thing.
about him as much as you guys do.
Exactly.
You guys have been there with him for years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why, it for me, it was like, really? This is your new friends? And so,
That's a hard one. That's a hard pill to swallow right there.
Very hard.
But, it is what it is. Hopefully he will come to his senses and see who really wishes him well.
I'm going to tell you, and I say this to the family out there, some of you have the same scenario going on within your own family. And so I'm sharing this with you because it's a painful situation to go through. You don't ever want to think that you're by yourself, but you are. And so what you need to do, and let me just say, for me, I had to meditate, and there were many sleepless nights that I literally would cry. And the person who is the sick one has no idea the depths of pain that they're causing their loved ones. And unfortunately, they may never know. They may go to their grave never knowing the pain that they're causing someone else that loves them. But what I did come to the realization of is that life is for the living. And I am living, and ultimately, I don't have that addictive issue. And so I will pray for him, and I will wish him well. But right now, he's on his own. If down the road he comes to his senses, my arms will always be open for him. I will still continue to love him and his wife from A through Z.
Yeah, the one thing that you can do right now is just pray for him and wish him all the best and hope that, somewhere along the line he will come to his senses, like you say. But you know what? We have to take a quick break, and we'll be back with the second half of the program. And we have some new sponsors, don't we?
Actually, we do. We have some great new sponsors. It's called Teacher Next Door, Policeman Next Door, Doctor Next Door, Fireman Next Door, and what's the other one? I know I left out. Nurse Next Door. And ultimately, you can call 908-930-8384. That's 908-930-8384. And this is for anybody who's interested in buying a home. So basically, you will get a discount on your closing costs. And in certain circumstances, your closing costs will be nothing. So this is a fantastic opportunity. If you're looking to buy a home, again, it's Teacher Next Door, and the contact person is myself, David Horton.
Awesome.
908-930-8384.
Repeat again.
908-930-8384.
Very good, very good.
And I think you've got somebody that's an advertiser.
Take Flight Media and Public Relations. Take Flight Media and Public Relations, owned by yours truly. Of course, we do internet marketing and social media and publicity. So if you're an artist, or if you need your social media website to look fantastic and drive traffic and additional engagement, you can also reach out to us. Visit the website at takeflightmpr.com. That's takeflightmpr.com.
And if I might add, he does excellent work.
Thank you. Thanks for that endorsement.
My pleasure.
But, going back to the conversation of addiction, when people think about addiction, they think about someone who is stoned out on drugs or alcohol. But addiction takes a lot of additional forms. Sexual addiction, food addiction, porn addiction, you name it. It goes on and on. And I remember when I was very sick, ended up in what's the hospital in Brooklyn, the most popular hospital?
Kings County?
No,
Downstate?
I think it was Kings County.
Kings County, yeah.
And I was hospitalized, and at the time I was going through severe depression. And friends of mine, they knew something was wrong. They just didn't know what it was, because I wasn't opening up to anybody, And I knew they were my friends, because they've always been there for me. But the fact that they wanted to ask, but no one got the courage to ask. And quite frankly, if they had asked,
you would have denied.
I would have denied, and I wouldn't have opened up, at least not at the time. But they were there for me, when even family wasn't. You see? And the bond that I have with my friends are so strong and unbreakable, because finally they came and they visited, and I was able to open up, just thinking about how they've always been there for me. They've always been in my corner, always look
Rooted
out
for
for
you.
me, rooted for me every step of the way.
Even when you didn't know.
Even when I didn't know, and that made me just open up to them. And some of them were like, why didn't you tell us earlier? Would have been really there for you. And I honestly don't know if they could have been any closer than they were at the moment. But I knew that whatever the situation was, they were going to be there. And I know for a fact that they are the reason why I found the courage to this day to stand strong and to go through everything that I've gone through school. They're the reason why I strive for success. They're the reason why I want to give up my best. Because when you know that people are there for you, regardless of your faults, regardless of your shortcomings, regardless,
Because nobody's perfect.
None of us are perfect. And they embrace you regardless of all those things. There is no way you can refuse and deny their embrace, the love that they show. And I understand from that standpoint that addiction is something that is very hard to come to grips with. For the person who is addicted. They're constantly in denial of everything, pretty much. But there are times where you have to step back in love. Still do not withdraw, that warm embrace, but you're embracing them from a distance. And there are times where you have to show tough love also. By saying, okay, I know this is not what you want, but this is what you're going to get. This is what we're going to do for you.
This is it.
This is it. It's this.
Or you're on your own.
Or you're on your own. And hopefully they will get a chance and they will sit down and really think about that and act upon it. You see? But the one thing you have to do, you have to let people live
Their life. And make their own mistakes.
For the better or the worst. You see? So the fact that he surrounded himself with quote unquote new friends and you probably know very well that those friendships will not last because they haven't stand the test of time that your friendship with him has lasted. So it's only a matter of time before all of that is going to cave in.
I have to tell you, I'm sitting here as you're talking and I'm reminiscing of, we literally traveled 2 or 3 times a year together for years. Wherever we went as a group. And we had people who wanted, who heard about the laughter. We laughed more than we did anything else. And we just had such a great time. And it all came to a halt because of that one person and their addiction. Now, of course, we have basically assembled without him. But he was a central figure.
Right.
And so you feel as if you're missing an arm or a leg.
Yeah. You'll never have the same feeling or even the same
camaraderie.
Exactly. You know?
Because I'm sure he will see this tape and I want him to, I need you to understand that we love you. We love you. However, we are not going to be a doormat. I'm speaking for myself, but I'm sure the others will agree. Not going to be a doormat for you and your wife. And so you need to make a decision if you're going to be a part of the living or if you're going to be a part of the dead. And if you're going to be a part of the dead, we will accept that and move on without you. But if you want to be a part of the living and you want to clean up your act and admit that you've got a problem, we are here with open arms, ready to receive you, ready to help you. But if you choose that you want to be an alcoholic, I'm done with you.
And there's nothing much I can say after that because you have to show tough love.
So with that, we are going to put on the bottom of the screen. We'll give the information now, but we're also going to post it on the bottom of the screen. The addiction lines for
Yes,
Alcohol.
alcohol, suicide, and drug addiction. So if you may know anyone that may be going through one of these addictions and then some, it's a 24-hour hotline for helpline rather, and the number is 844-243-9770. And for suicide hotline, the number,
repeat that number.
Okay, 844-243-9770. And for suicide hotline, it's 1-800-273-8255. I'll repeat, 273 rather, 8255. And another 24-hour hotline is 877-750-9526, and the number will be listed at the bottom below this video, so you will be able to see it, and I may also put it in on the screen also. So if you know anyone whatsoever that may be going through any kind of addiction, please reach out to them, and don't stop being their friends. Don't stop being their friends. Be there for them. But keep in mind that there come a point where you may have to step away based on how they react to you, and for your own health as well.
Because it can be debilitating for you as well.
Yeah,
it can take the wind out of your sail. Yeah, absolutely.
Everyone hurts
at some
in that
point,
situation.
you have to draw a line, and you have to say enough is enough.
Yes.
And especially these addictions that people have when you're talking, suicide is a different story. You have to stay in the loop. But when you're talking about alcohol or drug addiction, sometimes you just have to let that boat sink. Yeah. Because when people hit rock bottom is when they can decide if they've had enough.
And I had to do that with my friend, the one who had the seizure while he was here. He was drinking too much. You know, I know he smokes weed also and cigarettes. And he's on medication.
Right. So that's crazy.
So all of that is what caused the seizure to go on. And I think altogether probably had the seizure like 4 times. So he got into a transitional housing and didn't like the rules, and so he checked himself out. I drove across town and I confronted him. I said, if you do not call the lady at the transitional housing, apologize and check yourself back in there,
I'm done.
I am done. I am done. I say, this is it.
Make a decision. What you going to do?
He's back there.
There you go.
Because
you said, I'm done.
Yeah, because he knows.
Because he knows that's it.
He knows he has no one else who really cares about him.
Yeah, I think you need to explain that story real quick.
Like he does. You see?
Explain the story
This
real
is someone who I met. He was sleeping under the staircase of a church when I met him. And so, I took him in. He was here for 3 months.
Wow.
Down and out, always depressed. He got so sick one day. I had to go to my graduation in 2015. Left him here. He was very sick. When I came back, all I did, put my bags down and I said, get up, get dressed. Because before that, I confronted him and said, let me take you to the hospital. Something is wrong with you. He refused, And as difficult as it was for me to leave him here and go to my graduation, I wasn't going to miss my graduation.
Exactly.
It was my first, and I wasn't about to miss it.
And it was a day that you're supposed to be celebrating.
But I went to Florida, and I was worried the whole time. What if he dies in here? So thank God he was alive when I came back. But when I came back, he was in grave danger of losing his life. So I dropped my bags and I say, get up, get dressed. And I won't take no for an answer. Get your ass up, excuse my French, and let's go. He got up and we went. They admitted him. 5 days in the hospital. Okay?
Was he dehydrated?
He was dehydrated. He was weak. He was throwing up. Everything that was wrong was wrong. You see? So there are times where you have to put your feet down and say, this is what we're going to do, whether you like it or not, And it may be different when you're dealing with one person by themselves, but in your case, you're dealing with a wife and a husband, a couple. So one may be receptive or not, or both may not be receptive. You see, so it's a little more tricky. But still embrace him. Still be
absolutely.
there, whatever happens.
I love them both, and I need to be clear. I love them both, and you're both in my prayers every night.
Yes.
I wish you the best, and even though we're not with you on vacation right now, I'm still praying for you, and I hope for the best. And when you are ready to embrace us, all of us again, we will all be happy to see you. However, we are now coming to the end of our show, and so we're going to have to conclude, but I want to make sure we let everybody know we did receive the feedback that you wanted to discuss finance. And so in our next show, that will be the topic. Again, this is OnPoint The Talk Show, and we are an action show. We want to see to it that you do something. So we are an engaging show. So we will give you homework to do. And we expect for you to, in turn, engage us. And if you have questions, email us, Twitter, etc. But we need to, for this year, because of the dynamics of the election, we have got to be engaged in action.
For sure. And by the way, going forward, you can also call into the show. We have a number that you can call. That number is 347-467-1170. 347-467-1170 is the number you can call going forward. We are also on Roku. Yes, we have our own Roku channel. So we want you guys to engage with us as much as you can. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful week.
Peace.
Peace. This has been another episode of On Point. We're staying on purpose for our communities. In all that you do, remember to keep it on point.